The NASCAR Cup Series race has officially concluded from Richmond International Raceway, and what looked like was going to be a runaway win for Martin Truex Jr. turns an overtime finish after a late wreck, and Denny Hamlin sealing the victory after jumping to restart a little bit. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Richmond International Raceway to Toyota Owners 400. We got a little bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So NASCAR actually determined that this race was going to be a wet weather tire race at the start, where teams would put on wet weather tires and had some adjustments they needed to make sure that they were good to go. And then at the start of the race, you had Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside with Chase Elliott on the outside, and Chase Elliott got a fantastic run and was able to clear Kyle Larson for the race lead. But eventually, Kyle Larson got a great run on Chase Elliott and was able to pass him on lap number 6. Then Kyle Larson would dominate a little bit, and then the first caution race would come on lap number 30 for the competition caution. Because of this, they would stay under caution for a very, very long time, for like 10 laps. And then on lap 41, everyone would come down pit road to change on slick tires, and this would be a non-competitive pit stop. And then once again, they would be under the caution for a long time. They would go under caution for 20 straight laps, and then the restart happened lap 49 with Kyle Larson leading on the inside and Bubba Wallace on the outside. And Bubba Wallace stayed on Larson. They were really battling really hard for the lead. Eventually, Kyle Larson was able to clear Bubba Wallace for the race lead after some good racing. And then on lap 64, the second caution race to come out for Josh Berry and Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez had a long skid after some contact from Josh Berry. Berry got a little bit deep in the corner. To me, it's just a racing incident. I think Suarez came down a little bit. Berry sent it in there. To me, that's just one of those racing deals. Because of that, though, NASCAR would determine that this would be a caution and be the end of stage number 1, meaning that Kyle Larson would come out the final corner and win stage number 1. And then all the lap cars would then come down pit road with Kyle Larson winning the race off of pit road. So then on the restart, Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside with Bubba Wallace on the outside, and Kyle Larson got a great restart and was able to pull away. He would dominate the next portion of this race with Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin coming down first on pit road on lap 122. Then the next lap, you had Josh Berry come down pit road along with Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch. Then the next lap, Martin Truex Jr. Chris Buescher came in. Then the next lap, we saw Ross Chastain and Tyler Reddick come in. But you saw a little bit of strategy where Kyle Larson decided to stay out for a very, very long time. But eventually, Kyle Larson would then come down pit road on lap 1, number 50, and Larson would stay on the lead lap. And Larson was starting to really catch up to Martin Truex Jr., but on lap 170, the caution would come out once again for Kyle Busch, who got on the outside wall very slightly. This was a really bad call on NASCAR's end. Kyle Busch hit the wall a little bit, and for whatever reason, they threw the caution. Their officiating tonight was really horrendous and really, really awful all night long. We'll talk about that later, but I think that was not a caution. They should have absolutely kept this race green, and unfortunately, trap drivers like Alex Bowman who are running up front, and Bubba Wallace in a pretty bad position near the end. So then, all the lap cars came down pit road with, I think, Martin Truex Jr. winning the race off of pit road. And then on the restart, Martin Truex Jr. lead the field from the inside with Joey Logano on the outside, and Martin Truex Jr. got a great restart and was able to clear for the lead. Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney went out of the groove and dropped back a ton of positions, and there was some contact as well. And at that point, though, Martin Truex Jr. dominated this portion of the event. Then Alex Bowman, really at the end of stage number 2, was fighting really hard Martin Truex Jr. to stay on the lead lap. But at the end, Martin Truex Jr. would come out the final corner and win stage number 2, with Alex Bowman unfortunately not getting back on the lead lap. So then all the lap cars would come down pit road with Martin Truex Jr. winning the race off pit road with Kyle Larson being second. So then on the restart, Martin Truex Jr. lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and Martin Truex Jr. got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the lead. Then the race stayed green for a long time, and then green flag pit stops started happening on lap 285 with Brad Keselowski fitting first. Then the next lap, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott came in. Then the next lap, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Josh Berry all came in along with Kyle Busch. Then Bubba Wallace came down pit road. Then basically, eventually, Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Larson got back on the lead lap. And then Christopher Bell, he came down pit road on lap 294, but unfortunately got a speeding penalty exiting down pit road and would come down to serve that pasture. And then eventually Christopher Bell got back on the lead lap. And then what looked like would be the final green flag pit stops of the night happened with Tyler Reddick coming down first. Then the next lap, William Byron, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott came in. Then we saw a few laps later, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, Joey Logano come in. And we actually saw Kyle Larson get off pit road ahead of Martin Truex Jr. But eventually, a few laps later, Martin Truex Jr. died below Kyle Larson and was able to pass Kyle Larson back for the race lead. And then at this point, Denny Hamlin would stay out a little bit longer and would come down pit road. And at this point, Denny Hamlin had fresher tires and was starting to make a deep run late in this event. So it was going to be coming down to a few drivers. Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr. Truex on a little bit older tires, I think, than Joey Logano at that point, and Logano's car was coming in on the long run. And they were getting through the traffic. Denny was making up a ton of ground, and it looked like we were going to have a great finish at the end between Truex, Logano, and Hamlin, but with 2 laps to go, the final caution race would come out when Kyle Larson, who was running 4th at the time, or 3rd at the time, I should say, or 4th, checked up after getting loose. Bubba Wallace would then unfortunately get into him and would spin off the front bumper. Unfortunately, Larson spun and was able to keep going after that. To me, a lot of people are going to blame Bubba Wallace for that instantly, but to me, I can't really put blame on anybody in that situation. To me, Larson got loose, and Bubba just sent it in there a little bit. I think both are at fault for that incident, if you were to ask me. I can't put full blame on Kyle Larson, but I also can't put full blame on Bubba Wallace. I know there's going to be a lot of people on both sides that are really frustrated at both drivers. They should have kept their nose clean, and because of that, the caution would come out. And then all lead lap cars would come down pit road with Denny Hamlin winning the race off pit road after Martin Truex Jr. had a pretty bad pit stop, and Bubba Wallace had a very terrible pit stop and dropped all the way to basically the tail end of the longest line. So then on the final restart, you had Denny Hamlin lead the field from the inside and Martin Truex Jr. on the outside, and Denny Hamlin jumped the start just a little bit over Martin Truex Jr. and got a great run. Denny Hamlin gets a fantastic run, and they're battling behind him as he comes to the white flag. Denny Hamlin has the lead over Joey Logano at the time as Truex and Logano were battling. But then, going down the back straightaway, there was some contact between Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. Going down the back straightaway, Truex just went down the racetrack, got into Kyle Larson, and then coming to the checker flag, Denny Hamlin would steal the victory and pick up his second victory of the 2024 season. After the checker flag, there was a little bit of beef after the race between Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Larson. Larson basically paid Truex back in the outside wall, and then Truex tried to retaliate once again. To me, I don't know what Truex trying to do there against Kyle Larson. It's not like Kyle Larson definitely really did anything wrong in that situation. Larson did not cost Truex. I mean, he kind of did a little bit, but still, I don't know why Truex is mad at Larson for that. It's not completely Larson's fault that Truex lost this race. It was up to the pit crew screwing up there. Also, the ending of the race. I feel like the Denny Hamlin did jump the restart a little bit. I know people are going to say that he should have gotten penalized for that. NASCAR, for whatever reason, was not reviewing the call. I definitely think Hamlin jumped the restart a little bit for sure, and that's something they definitely need to do better at going forward. But nonetheless, Denny Hamlin comes across the line and finishes first, picks up his second win in 2024. Denny Hamlin had a really good car today, but never the strongest, but just came out of nowhere. He had good speed at the end. It was in the right position, the right time. Had a fantastic pit stop, had some great pit stops tonight, and comes home with a second win in 2024. I think Denny Hamlin is still a championship threat, becomes second driver, had multiple victories in 2024, his 53rd career Cup Series victory. Congratulations to Denny Hamlin on winning the race. So now we're going to take a look at the race results. I'll give my score and thoughts on today's race. So Denny Hamlin picks up the victory. Joey Logano finished second. A fantastic day for Joey Logano. His best run for sure of the 2024 season. He at times had the fastest car in this race, but never showed up at points, but still finishing second. A shot in the arm for this team. He needs to have good runs going forward, and finally has a fantastic run. He finishes second. Kyle Larson finishes third, considering he spun out at the end. He had a great pit stop and gets a third place finish. He dominated early, looked to have the fastest car. That pick strategy, I think, cost him this race, in my opinion, because they never really were the same after that. But still, a really good run for Kyle Larson. We were worried that he wasn't going to have a chance to contend. He led the second most laps. I think he led 145, 146 laps tonight. Still a really good night for Larson, considering the circumstances. Martin Truex Jr. finishes fourth. Despite being pissed off, I understand the frustration. He had the car to beat tonight. Led over 200 laps in this race. Was on the way to easily picking up the victory tonight. Unfortunately, his night ends with him finishing fourth. I know he's not happy about it, but it is what it is at this point. I feel a little bad for Truex because he definitely should have won this race for sure. He was on the verge of getting it done. Unfortunately, pit crew cost him. Had the track issues. Did get jumped a little bit on the restart. Still finishes fourth though. Nonetheless, a really great night for Truex. A race that could have been for Martin Truex Jr. Chase Elliott finishes fifth. First top five of the year for Chase. They struggled at times in this race, but they made that car definitely better, and Chase Elliott had a good pit stop at the end. He gets a very respectful top five finish, ran top 10 a lot of the night as well. This hopefully can be some good confidence booster for Chase Elliott going forward. Great night for Chase Elliott. Also led a few laps tonight as well. Christopher Bell finished the 6th, comes back a little bit from the speeding penalty. Christopher Bell definitely had a top 5 or top 3 car, and I think he could have been up there contending for the victory if not for the speeding penalty. Still gets a respectful top 10 finish. William Byron finished 7th, quiet night for him. They struggled early, but they made that car better, had some good pit stops, got benefited from that caution coming at lap 170, and they ran top 7 most of the rest of the night. Solid performance for William Byron. Brad Keselowski finished 8th, great night for RFK Racing, never had race-winning pace, but a top 10 still good. Good run for Brad Keselowski in 8th. Chris Buescher finished 9th, good night for RFK all around. Chris Buescher ran top 10 all day, good performance for Chris Buescher in 9th place. And Tyler Reddick gets a top 10 finish in 10th. Quiet all night long, but kept his nose clean, didn't do anything wrong, and gets a respectable top 10 finish. Good run for Tyler Reddick. Josh Berry finished 11th. He had a top 5 car early in this race, is putting up his best performance of the season so far. Unfortunately, the pit crew cost him a good chance at winning this race. He does get a top 15, but unfortunately, his night got ruined by the pit crew. So, though, he showed some good pace and speed. Thought he was going to be somewhat of a threat at contender for the win. Did a good job early, gets a respectful top 15 finish. Noah Gragson finished 12th, ran top 15 all night long. Had a really good night, in my opinion. Just a bounce back performance after the last couple weeks not going well for him. Bubba Wallace finished 13th. Bubba Wallace ran top 5 all night long for the most part and top 10 all night long. Unfortunately, the pit crew on the final pit stop cost him a shot at this win. And granted, if he doesn't get into Kyle Larson, he's not into that position. But still, he did have a solid performance going until the end. He did get a lot of points, so that definitely will help him going forward. He had a pretty good car until the end. Eric Jones finished 14th, decent performance for him, getting inside the top 15. Ross Chastain finishes 15th, quiet performance, struggled in the second half, but gets a respectful top 15 finish. Ty Gibbs finished 16th, really disappointing performance for Ty Gibbs. I thought he was going to win tonight. He never showed the pace this weekend. It's sad because I really thought it was going to be a contender. Never showed the pace. He finishes 16th. Alex Bowman finished 17th. He got bit and screwed over by that caution coming out of lap 170. He had a car that easily could have won this race tonight. Unfortunately, his night came to end early in contention. He finished 17th. Chase Briscoe finished 18th. Ryan Blaney struggled all night long. He finishes 19th. And Kyle Busch, who also struggled most of the evening, does get a top 20, but it is 20th place. Todd Gillen finished 21st, was really good early, but the car faded as the run progressed. Daniel Suarez finished 22nd after his issues with Josh Berry. Austin Hendrick finished 23rd. Austin Dillon, another disappointing performance in 24th place. John Hunter Nemechek finished 25th. Michael McDowell finished 26th. Carson Hocevar finished 27th. Ryan Preece finished 28th. Ty Dillon finished 29th in his first start of the season. Daniel Hemrick finishes in 30th. Kaz Grosjean finishes 31st. Justin Haley finished 32nd. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished 33rd. Harrison Burton, another terrible performance, finishes 34th. Zane Smith finished 35th. And Corey LaJoie finishes last in 36th. So now, let's talk about the overall race as a whole, and I'll give my score and thoughts on today's race. The first stage, I thought was really entertaining. Love the race raining. Love the rain racing we kind of saw. Some of the tire wear. I thought that was really intriguing and really, really fun. But once we got on the regular tires, the race unfortunately kind of turned in another one of these short track races. I think this definitely was one of my least favorite races. Probably my least favorite race so far, 2024. I know the racing was good at the beginning, but at the end it just was not very good. And I feel like that they could have avoided a caution at the end. The finish does not make up for the race in my opinion. My score of tonight's NASCAR Cup Series race, I'm going to give this race overall, I'm going to give this race a 6 out of 10. The start of the race was good, but it ended not that great. Unfortunately, my least favorite race so far, 2024, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Just a very disappointing performance of a race, all things considered. Now, to talk about officiating. Officiating tonight was horrendous. Terrible calls. I know it's the first time they've ran a points race with the wet weather tires, but when there are non-competitive pit stops, you're not supposed to count laps. I don't know what they were doing there, counting laps. They wasted so many laps early in this race. Then that caution call for Kyle Busch, that was a terrible call in my opinion. And then the call did not review the Denny Hamlin restart, where they should have absolutely reviewed it. I don't know what they were doing there, and for some reason they never reviewed it, and that didn't make any sense to me, and that affected the race definitely for sure. The officiating tonight was absolutely horrendous, and I don't think Fox really did a good job tonight overall as well. So, that is going to today's NASCAR Cup Series race review from Richmond International Raceway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me through Facebook and Instagram, and support on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below, and congratulate Denny Hamlin on picking up the victory. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, I have race picks for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Martinsville International Speedway. Tuesday, there's going to be a NASCAR news video dropping on the channel. Wednesday, there is going to be race picks for the Xfinity Series race and maybe another NASCAR news video potentially as well. On Wednesday, we'll have to wait and see. I might push that back to Wednesday. We'll just have to wait and see what kind of content comes out as we're headed to Martinsville next week. We'll see what happens there. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.